Chair lady yields back. Mr. Panetta, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. As many of my colleagues, clearly this was the first choice of committee that I had. As a new member, I look forward to being on this committee. Yes, because of my district. Yes, because of the people in my district, the farmers, the farm workers, the shippers, the growers who make agriculture the #1 economic driver in my district. But also, I have to say, because of the history of this committee. It is known as a bipartisan committee, and that's something that I've grown up with, something that I've learned, and I believe that it takes bipartisanship in order to get things done properly in Washington, D.C. And I think that's been displayed pretty much throughout my time on this committee, including the first meeting I had that the freshman members, Democratic members, had with Ranking Member Peterson when he brought us into his office and he talked about his experience of the 2014 Farm Bill. He talked about some of the games that were played in an attempt to change the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. He talked about how it failed. He even talked about the one member who lost his election because of what he tried to do with SNAP. But it was Ranking Member Peterson who said he believes that lessons have been learned, he believes we can work on SNAP together, and he believes that it needs to be an open process in order to do so. And I believe that as we went along in this 115th Congress, that is exactly what was going to happen. Because in my time here, as members, Democrats and Republicans, I truly believe that we get along. I believe that we admire, I believe that we respect one another, and I believe that we actually like each other. And during the SNAP hearings, the hearings that we had, the mini hearings that we had, I found them very, very positive. And I think that all of us understood, and I think that we understand that a farm bill is definitely something that has potential to expand the opportunities for producers, support economic growth in rural areas, and yes, alleviate hunger in our communities. However, I have to say that once I got this bill, the one that's in front of us today, it doesn't look like that. And yes, mainly because of what this bill does and what it attempts to do for the nutrition title and SNAP programs. And no, that has nothing to do with the work requirements. They already exist, and I think many people on this committee believe that they are imperative to get people back to work. But my sentiment has everything to do with the potential harm that it could cause people who are already hurting. Instead of providing assistance to those who need, this bill would take money from addressing hunger and pump billions of dollars into a massive, untested state bureaucracy. I believe this to be both a disservice to those who are hungry and also a disservice to the American taxpayer. But I also believe it's going to do a disservice to those who serve us. The proposed changes to SNAP will impact almost 23,000 active duty military households across this country. Let me repeat that. 23,000 active duty military households that actually are currently enrolled in the SNAP program. In California especially, active duty military rely on SNAP because a significant portion of their income goes to paying for the very expensive housing in that state and the lack of affordable housing in that state. In Monterey, in my district, the military's basic housing allowance is $2,300 a month. But the proposed Farm Bill only allows active duty military to exclude up to $500 of that BAH from their income calculation. That means that at least $1,800 of this housing allowance is calculated as income for the purposes of determining the SNAP eligibility. Based on such calculations, lower income active duty households would struggle even to qualify for that program. This isn't just a California issue, Mr. Chairman. You actually heard about this issue in New York in your listening session. Erica Tibbins, a military spouse, told you that she relies on WIC benefits, but they were shut out of receiving SNAP benefits because of their housing allowance. She talked about food insecurity. She talked about many other active duty families who could benefit from SNAP only if their housing allowance was not considered income. Erica went on to tell you about the challenges of finding employment as a military spouse because they're often moving around. The stringent work requirements are mandatory employment and training programs, which could disproportionately impact spouses of active duty military members. Our military families already sacrifice so much for our country. We should be working to reduce barriers to assistance for them, not making it more difficult to put food on the table. I was excited to join the Ag Committee. I'm happy to be on this committee because of the work we do, the people who our work helps, and the members, and yes, I do believe in our bipartisanship. However, this is not a bipartisan bill. and it is one I cannot support at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.